Welcome back to this week's coffee break. You know, we've all probably heard the term post-mortem before, maybe because we watched too many NCIS episodes. And we attribute that to the work done on a body after a crime's been committed, and they perform the post-mortem or the autopsy to try to figure out what happened. In management, in business, and in education, we do the same thing. We launch a program, we run the program, we get to the end of the program, and then we have a post-mortem where we look at the things that went wrong, what should we do differently next time, how can we improve, what should we toss out. All those kinds of things are looked at in the post-mortem. But there is a management philosophy that talks about doing a pre-mortem. So to design your plan in the classroom, maybe it's a project that's going to take 2 weeks. And you're going to be meeting with kids every day, and they're going to be writing a rough draft, and they're going to be doing some research, and they're going to be doing a presentation, and maybe there's a video involved, and then they've got to do the final draft, and then they've got to give their presentation. And once you've got all that planned, the idea of a pre-mortem is to look at the end and say, what went wrong? So let's say, for instance, that you have this 2-week project, and what went wrong was I only had about half the kids finish the project. So then you start backing up piece by piece, starting from the end, working your way back to the beginning, to try to see, are there any places along the way that slow kids down? Are there things here that I need to explain differently to help them move along? Is there something that I could take out of the project entirely and still have a decent project? And so you try to analyze it from the standpoint of what went wrong before it ever happens. That's a pre-mortem. And looking back, a pre-mortem would have been great to do with our new tardy policy because we've come to the end of the year and it didn't work. And if we, as the admin team, had looked at it at the beginning of the year and said, what are the things that could go wrong? What went wrong? And we would look at it and say, well, we didn't get enough teachers to fill out the form. Then we would go back and say, okay, so where did we fall down on that? And how should we have handled getting the word out to teachers? Should we have sent out more reminders? Should we have talked to them individually? Should we have done this or that or the other? Should we have worded it differently? And then we would know before we ever start, we've cleaned up some messes that maybe we weren't even aware was there. I think a pre-mortem is really, really important. And as you think about your lesson plans for next year, it's too late to worry about them now. We're almost to state testing. But as you think about your lessons for next year, think about in terms of what are the long-term things that my kids are going to do, things that are going to take 3 or 4 class periods or 8 or 9 or 10 class periods. What does that look like? And begin to look at the things that could go wrong. And then work your way backwards through the steps to see where you could have fixed that. And maybe you will have fixed it enough so that those kinds of things either don't happen or they are minuscule in what happens. Give it a try. We'll see you next week.